Cause I'm already drunk. Hi, the bar is open. What are you drinking? Because I'm already trashed. That's right, trashed and confused over this summer house drama. And so far, nothing is being answered. And West and Amanda are just creating more questions and confusion. And it's very clear that they are lying and stumbling over their answers. So let's get more confused and keep watching. So go grab your cocktails. Oh, and by the way, if you can't decide on what cocktail to make and you need some inspiration, go on over to my other channel, Boozy Bitch. The link is in the description, which is my cocktail page where you can learn how to make amazing cocktails just by watching my videos. Okay? So go grab your cocktails, or if you don't have one, go get a beer. And once again, for the Carls of the world, go get your non-alc, and let's get right back into it, okay? So here is Summer House Season 10 Reunion Part 2 Recap. Let's go. Okay, so now, where did we leave off? We left off that Sierra was telling off Amanda. She was saying that maybe it could work out between her and West because she's weak and she'll let West be the star or shine or something like that. And Kyle was upset because he said he still cares about Amanda and he thought that was a little bit harsh. Okay, so here we are, and Amanda is obviously now finally getting emotional because it's about her. Okay, it's not about anybody else. And so then after Sierra says that, Lindsay chimes in and she basically hits it home, right? And she's basically saying, listen, this is not going to work out, okay, Amanda? And Wes is going to do the same thing to you that he did to everybody else, right? Take your pick. It doesn't matter which girl, right? He's going to do to you what he's done to every other girl. You know, and yeah, she basically just goes in for the kill. And she says that over this past year, because they're on a new show together called In the City, you know, she's gotten a chance to get really close to Amanda. And she just says, listen, I'm bamboozled by this whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel lied to and whatnot, but that she still cares about Amanda and she worries about her and her mental health. And she thinks that West is going to do one over on her, which, duh. I'll say it for everybody. And then Kyle says, I think he's talking to Amanda, but he says, I asked you point blank, you know, what did you understand of his relationship with Mia? And then Wes says, well, I mean, it's been public, you know, that like I hook up with her like from time to time, once in a while, you know? And then Lindsay's like, shut the fuck up, okay? You're a pathy. Nobody believes what you say, all right? And now I think this is the part where, like, Lindsay thinks she made up a word or something, pathy, as in pathological liar. Yeah, like we weren't going to get that one. But, yeah, she feels that she made up that word, and so let's give it to her. She can have it. All right, Linz, pathy. And then Andy's like, Amanda, are you okay? Is everything all right? You okay? And Amanda doesn't say anything. She's like, give me this tissue. Fuck this tissue. God damn it. And then KJ chimes in and he's like, look, I just have to say something and I don't want to take up a lot of time, but, you know, and of course everybody's like, no, go ahead. And so this is where KJ starts to talk about his dad. And he says that he's an asshole and he was a womanizer and a liar and a cheater. And he basically like treated his mom like shit, you know, and destroyed their family. And that's why he's really hurting about this situation. And I'll let him say it.
That's why, like, I am hurting West, because I don't like that shit. I grew up watching that firsthand and it destroyed my family. My dad's an habitual liar. He lies to everyone, but then he puts on this persona like he's got everything together and he makes people feel good. And so it's like, I just am seeing a correlation and...
Pause. Did you see how Wes looked at Amanda? He's like, no, dude, don't worry, man. That's not me, okay? And look at Amanda's face. She's like, well, stuck on stupid. And Amanda, I believe the word you're looking for is, oh, shit. And then KJ brings up the conversation about the conversation that they had at dinner the one night about the interracial dating. Sierra brought it up. And KJ said that was a very serious conversation. And, I didn't like the way that you were treating my sister, Sierra. You know what I mean? And because obviously KJ is black, and that's a whole nother conversation. But, that was just kind of like an added thing for KJ to see such a queen like Sierra being treated badly by West, who happens to be white. And, that's a conversation. And now, see, let me interject, right? Because this is not a race thing for West, right? He's an equal opportunist when it comes to women, okay? He treats all his bitches the same. They're all dog shit, okay? Yeah. He's horrible to all of them equally. But for KJ and for Sierra and for Mia, it's a different conversation, obviously, because the black experience in America is different from the white experience, right? And so that plays out in many different variables in relationships and friendships and all kinds of things. And so there's that. And then Wes apologizes and he says, yeah, man, I'm sorry, I understand. And whenever you're ready to have a conversation, I will totally have that with you, man. Okay, brother? And of course, KJ is like, yeah, all right, well, I need some time. And maybe in the future I might be open to that. But right now I just need some time. And so then Andy says, thank you, meaning now he's talking to Sierra. He says, thank you so much for that conversation. It was much needed and it was very necessary and important. And what led you to have that conversation in that moment? And then Sierra says, well, it's been a thing, it's been something that's been going on over the years that it's uncomfortable, right? She's one of the very few people of color that have been on the show, and it's something separate that only she's kind of had to deal with, right? On top of everything else. And especially in the Hamptons and all of that, right? And also she says that that's something that, some of her other white castmates haven't had to deal with. And so then Andy's like, okay, well, what's the most important thing that you would want viewers to understand that are watching? And you know what? I'm going to let Sierra say it because I definitely couldn't say it better myself. And also it's her words and it's her voice. You know what I'm saying? And so I'll let her say it.
There are a lot of racial dynamics that happen in this group. That's part of having interracial relationships, interracial friendships, intercultural relationships and friendships. If I'm having white friends in this day and age, we're talking about race, how can we not? Politically speaking, it's turmoil outside. I actually don't want to be friends if we're not talking about the political climate of this world because there's a whole other layer that we experience it in. So, yeah, the conversations are vital.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. See, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I mean, the way she said it, it was the way she speaks and the way that she expresses herself. It's just with such strength, resilience, integrity, intelligence, class, poise. I mean, if anybody can say it, it's her. You know what I'm saying? Because it leaves you no option but to receive it. And so then Andy says, so at that dinner, West said that he sees you a lot more now after the whole situation and whatnot. And so how did you feel about that? And did you believe him? And Sierra's like, back then, maybe, possibly. And then Andy's like, well, what about now? And she's like, yeah, no. And look at these two. I mean, they can't even look at her. It's like they're looking down the whole time that she's speaking, And so then Sierra keeps talking and she's like, Andy, now looking back, it's I think they were just saying things to appease me or something. You know what I mean? They were using buzzwords to tell me what I wanted to hear and satiate me and placate me and whatever big words that she used. But she definitely did get placated and satiated or whatever. Yeah, because the whole time Amanda we thought she was being a good friend by giving Sierra advice about West. And she was saying, listen, I see you, I hear you, even though West doesn't. Meanwhile, the whole time she also had feelings for West. So how does that work? You know what I mean? And that's why it's diabolical. Yeah. And then, of course, Andy's like, well, Amanda, like, how does that make you feel? What do you have to say to that? And this is where Amanda just sounds like a flubbering, bubbling idiot, right? And she can't even look at her still. She's like looking past her. And she's stumbling and fumbling to find the words. And she's like, Andy, it's like, it's like, it's like, it's like, it's like, it's like. That's exactly how it was, no exaggeration. I promise you. And she was just like, listen, Sierra, everything I told you was like, I meant it, and just, it doesn't matter, but like this, I'm so hurt over this whole situation. And I just, and oh, shut the fuck up, okay? And thank God she gets interrupted. Because Sierra's like, no, you haven't. No, not at all. You haven't felt one iota of feeling bad, okay? Because you've been out all over the place. And then I think Lindsay or Bailey like whispers, they're like, yeah, she's been all up and down New York City, all at the West Village bars and everything. And not to mention a Yankees game. Yeah, that was the killer. I mean, kissing on a teleprompter for the whole damn world to see, on top of the fact that you're reality television stars. I mean, come on. You knew exactly. And so this is all bullshit. And I really wish that Andy would have went harder on Amanda when it came to this, because everybody else was, right? They were talking about how she was breadcrumbing and posting and pictures and in all the bars and the Yankee game and everything like that. And then Sierra's like, yeah, and all those times that we laid up in the bed and we were doing our bed bugging thing and telling each other our deepest, darkest secrets. This is where it's come to. This is where we're at. And she's basically just sitting there floating through the whole thing like, oh, everything I said was true. It was just, I was lost. Please. And so finally, Andy does ask a good question. And he's like, so, Amanda, when you were with Sierra and you guys were talking and, obviously you were hearing all the things that West was doing to her. So you were privy to all of this, right? And so what made you think, or what makes you think that he's going to be different with you? Excellent question. And Amanda gives a horrible answer because she's like, well, Wes and I have had so many conversations about this. And we talked about our feelings and like what it would look like if we whatever, right? And so I felt that they went good. And to be honest, that's the only reason why I'm sitting here today. Huh? What the fuck was that? What, you had conversations and they went well and you're sitting there. Well, what the fuck are you talking about? And then Mia chimes in, thank God. She gets it. She understands because she's just as confused as I am. And she's like, I'm going to need some clarity. Yeah, me too. And so Mia's like, yeah, I don't understand. Help me out, Amanda. Were these conversations that great? They were that amazing that you were willing to risk a friendship with Sierra that you've known for over 4 or 5 years? You know what I mean? And like she said, you were in the bed together and you were like spilling the tea and opening up to each other and specifically opening up to each other about this guy, West. You know what I mean? And so the conversations were that great that you were willing to risk it? I don't understand. Neither do I. Neither does anybody. And then Amanda's answer is, well, it was just because of the feelings and like we started out as friends, and so it just went from there. And Sierra's like, that's interesting. I believe we also started out as friends. That's true. And here goes Amanda. She's like, oh my God, Sierra, like, I get it. Okay, yeah, you guys were friends too first. Yeah, like, I get, okay. Look, listen, all right? Like, I don't know what to say. Like, the conversations that we've had are just like really private, you know what I'm saying? And like the things that we said to each other, I just don't want to like share that right here, right now, and like in front of you guys and like on camera. Yeah, so, there's that. And Sierra is over it. She's like, yeah, okay. And Lindsay is like, what the fuck? What? Huh? Yeah, Linz, I said that about 2 paragraphs ago. Yeah. And Amanda's like, yeah, okay, the truth was gonna come out, like, no matter what. All right. And Andy's over it, honey. Yeah. And so I'll let Amanda talk for herself.
Selfishly, where maybe I felt I understood what was going on because I was going to have to be honest with Sierra no matter what. No matter what. I felt embarrassed to have to say I have feelings and have kissed Wes and he's seeing someone else.
Yeah, that's super embarrassing for sure.
I felt embarrassed having to say that to Sierra. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yep, exactly. Oh, come on, Amanda. It's like, we're not going to feel bad for you now, all right? Now she's tearing up. And Andy's like, oh my God, Amanda, are you okay? It's like, Andy, shut the fuck up, okay? She needs to feel a little pain. Come on. And she's like, I don't know. I think I might need a second. It's like, come on, Amanda. You know, how are we supposed to feel sorry for you when you're the one that fucked over your good friend Sierra, okay? And you put yourself in this position to be embarrassed by being with a guy who you know is non-committal, okay? And you thought a conversation was going to change that? Please. And there she goes, off to see the wonderful Wizard of Bravo, who's in her dressing room. That's a pillow that she's about to cry in. And so after Amanda walks away, Lindsay's like, why isn't her boyfriend going after her? Yeah, that'd be a good question, Lindsay, right? It's like, you know, and then look at him. He's like, And Sierra's like, yeah, West, huh? Why don't you go after your girl? Huh? Go after your girl, West. And West is like, yeah, no, I just thought that there would be, like, more questions. Is there more questions? No, there's no more questions. Did she really leave? Did she go? Is that, okay. And so Kyle chimes in and he's like, dude, listen, I think there's, like, a lot of questions and there's, like, you know, maybe too many questions and she's getting, like, really overloaded. You know what I mean? And Kyle, fuck that, okay? Like, I know it's looking like you're the concerned husband and that you care, but actually it's sounding more and more like that of a cheater with a guilty conscience. You know what I mean? Who's been cheating on Amanda the entire time, okay? That's why you're defending her, you know? You get me? I don't know. I don't know about you guys. Drop down in the comments, but I'm getting that vibe. And so Sierra's like, listen, bro, okay? If you're going to roll around in the mud, you're going to get dirty. Like, hello? Exactly. And then Lindsay chimes in and she's like, wait a minute, hold on now.
How many times I was in the fucking hot seat where I had everyone on this couch coming at me year after year after year after year after year, never fucking...
It's true, though.
You should go after your fucking girl.
Not gonna both
Get up and
leave.
go after her, Wes. Be a fucking man.
Just so you can tell me that we both fucking left and bitch about that.
No, I think you want to be a fucking man, make the decision and go
What a
after her.
moron.
Go after her to make sure she's okay. Okay.
Wow. I was wondering when he was going to get up. Finally. This was becoming an episode of Jeopardy. Do, 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 do. Does anybody even know that show anymore? Anyway. Oh, and by the way, when Kyle had to tell Wes to go check on Amanda, I mean, can you imagine, you know, being Amanda, your ex-husband, having to tell your current boyfriend to go, like, check on you and console you? Isn't that something? Yeah. And so there goes West, wrinkled suit and all, to go console Amanda, in quotation marks. And he's like, dude, like Kyle, I came to see if you're good, man. You know, just to like check on you. You good? You good, man? And then Lindsay's like, you know, I almost got up to go check on her. And Bailey's like, you know, I was thinking about it. And Mia's like, I wasn't. I wasn't thinking about it. No. And I feel the same. I mean, if you're good friends with Sierra, that is. You know what I mean? I can understand Bailey maybe doesn't know her that well, but Lindsay, you do. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm human and I feel bad, but I'm not going to check on Amanda, okay? I'm going to check on Sierra. How you doing? I'm going to maybe check on Kyle. Maybe not. And then I thought this was interesting because when Wes and Amanda were talking, it didn't sound like West was all that consoling. Shocker. Because Amanda was like, oh my God, I just can't believe what Sierra said to me. It just cut so deep. Oh God. And Wes was like, yeah, okay, sorry, dude. But listen, if you're gonna cry, you should cry on stage. You know what I mean? Cry on stage, man. And I was like, that's a little weird, a little prickly once again, gives me the itch, but everything about Wes gives me the itch. Just like the kids say on Love Island, the British version, the one from the UK, the one that started it all. Yeah, they used to say, man, he gives me the ick. Well, Wes gives me the ick and the itch, okay? Yeah, and so this was all very strategic to me, to say the least. And then Sierra's like, I'm sorry, this is ridiculous, okay? She fucks my ex, and then I scoff at her, and then she can't even sit there, which, by the way, I love the word scoff. I haven't heard that ever. Maybe in the comic books. I don't know. But yeah, Sierra's kind of pulling out all the eloquencies, all the big words. And is eloquencies even a word? I don't know. It sounded good. Let's move on. And so now West is coming back, and he's like, hey. And Andy's like, hey, how's Amanda? Where's Amanda? And he's like, yeah, she's not here, Oh, how's she doing? She's taking a pee-pee. Yeah, a little bit of a tinkle time, you know what I mean? And Lindsay's like, well, why don't we all take a pee-pee, okay? Why don't we all just take a break? And Andy's like, you want to take a break, Lindsay? And yeah, Andy, you heard the boss, okay? The boss says she wants to take a break, all right? Do your job. And so Andy's like, okay, we're going to take a break. But before we go, I would just like to say goodbye to Levi. And thank you so much, Levi, for joining us. Yeah, that was really great. It was good to see you. And Levi's like, huh? What? Oh, I'm leaving? Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Bye, guys. All right. Yeah, this was fun. And I mean, what was she there for? 6 minutes? 6 minutes and 23 seconds, possibly? Something like that? Yeah. Sorry, Levi. And then Andy's like, yeah, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. I'm going back to my dressing room, and I'm going to need to put just a little bit more vodka in this coffee. Yeah, I don't blame you. I would be doing exactly the same. And so there's Kyle sitting by himself with Sierra. And so everybody just kind of gathers around, especially Carl. He's known him the longest, and Lindsay. And except I think Lindsay went to go put some more vodka in her coffee. Yeah. And so Kyle is just like, yeah, guys, I can't believe Wes can just lie like that, dude, just like that, at a drop of a dime, you know what I mean? And dude, I was curious about this Mia girl, right? And so I reached out to her, right? And so we kind of had this talk, this back and forth for a week, okay? And I found out a lot of shit about West, all right? And the more I found out, the more I think this fucking guy is a totally different fucking person, okay? And she said that they were in an exclusive relationship since February 2025. And she gave me permission to show me her text messages, which is evidence. And speaking of evidence, here's Wes destroying it right now. He's got his phone. He's like, yeah, let me see. What did I tell this bitch back then? Oh, yeah, okay, right. Oh, shit. I asked her to be my girlfriend. Crap. And so the 5-minute pee break is over. And everybody's coming back on set, except for Amanda. And now this is the part where they bring in Dara. Hello, Dara. And so Dara comes in and she kisses KJ because they were in a couple while this reunion was going on. I will let you know that as of now, KJ and Dara are no longer a couple, just so you know. But anyway, so let's get back to the reunion in past tense. And so Andy's like, "Hi, Dara. Hi. Can you see me or are you busy kissing?" Yeah. "Hi, how you doing? Good to see you." And Dara's like, "Hi, Andy. Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me." And then Andy turns to West and he's like, "Where's Amanda?" And West is like, yeah, she's coming out. She's coming out, man. Yeah, like any minute now, any minute. And Andy's like, okay, well, that's unfortunate. Anyway, back to KJ and Dara. You look beautiful in your matching white. And so, Dara, what was it like being in a relationship with KJ for basically the entire summer? And then she's like, "Oh my God, Andy, it's like so amazing, wonderful, and fantastic." And you know what? I think this is the strongest relationship I'm ever going to have. And wow, those are some pretty strong words there, Dara, huh? That you're ever gonna have or that you've ever had so far. Yeah, young people. And so Andy asks another good question here. He says, "So Dara, you've been friends with West for years and you've been buddies and you've also dated him. And so what would you say? What would you make of this situation?" And here we go. Because Dara's like, well, do you want me to be honest?" Well, of course we do. Here we go. Lay it on us, girl. And she's like, well, West, okay, I have to be honest. You're not going to just magically wake up one day and decide that this is the relationship for you and just commit. You know, I mean, you like to be wanted, you know, you like to be liked, and you want everybody to think you're like this good guy, you know, but in reality, it's like all the girls that you deal with at the end of the day, they're disposable, and you treat them all like shit, and you tell them all the same thing. Well, goddamn, Dara, that's right, girl, shit. And look at West. He's probably thinking, "You fucking bitch." I brought you on this show, okay? We used to date, goddammit. And you don't remember last night, huh? I mean, when I told you that you were the one and that you should leave KJ and that we should get back together, you don't remember that? Do you not remember that? That was just last night. Yeah, so fuck you. I'm just kidding. Well, maybe. Who knows? And look at Sierra's reaction. She's like, "Well, shit. I couldn't have said it better myself, and you nailed the nail right on the head." And you did say it better yourself, Sierra. You did. And she's like, "Clock that tea, Dara, clock that tea." That's what the young kids are doing nowadays. You know, they put their little fingers together, like pretend like it's like a baby clapping or a tiny little clap. What the fuck is that? Come on, man. It's fucking stupid. No offense, but now I sound like my mother when she used to say my generation was stupid. Your fucking generation is stupid, okay? But anyway, clock that tea. And Andy's like, "So West, what do you have to say about that?" And West is like, "Well, yeah, I agree, Andy. You know, it's true, you know?" Okay. It's true, yeah, you do treat women like shit. Okay. Moving on. And then Andy says, "Well, I guess if Amanda's not here, there's these other questions that I want to get to." And Sierra's like, excuse me, why isn't she coming back? Hello? I mean, this is our job. This is the show. Why isn't she here? We're supposed to be talking about this. Why is she avoiding? Hello? And Kyle's like, "Yeah, dude, like I wanted her to hear Dara's little speech there. You know, she could have heard that." And Tara's like, "Yeah, don't worry. I'll say it again." And now Lindsay and everybody's just like, "Well, who's going to go get Amanda now this time?" I mean, would that be weird if like he went to go get his wife? And Sierra's like, "Yeah, you should go get your wife, Kyle. You know, I mean, this is bullshit. How do you show up to a reunion and you don't even participate in the reunion? You know, I'm here, I'm participating, you know, and I'm the one who got screwed over." Exactly. And Kyle's like, oh, I'm just worried about her, you know. And Lindsay's like, well, then why don't you go get her? Go get your wife, Kyle. And Carl's like, yeah, let's see how weird we can make it. Oh, you can make it really weird. Yeah, it's about to get a lot weirder. And so Kyle gets up. He's like, all right, I'm going to go get her. And Andy's like, no need. Production just said she's on her way back. And while we wait for Amanda to return, I would like to switch things up a little bit. And I want to talk about 3 of our lover boys this summer: Ben, KJ, and Jesse. Yeah. So, not Kyle, because obviously he was married. Not Carl. Carl was single. How come not Carl? Oh, okay. And not West, because technically West was single too, right? But he was trying to get Sierra back in a friendship or a situationship or whatever. Secretly, he was hooking up with Amanda. And then also secretly, he had a girlfriend, an exclusive one apparently. And her name was Mia. So yeah, so I guess that does boil it down to Ben, Jesse, and KJ. And to be honest, I really don't give a shit about this part. Okay, so Andy does like a little montage where he shows them like flirting with girls and having a fun hot boy single summer or whatever he wanted to call it. Yeah. And so then in even more uninteresting news, Andy asked Ben about Sabrina and how's his relationship going and everything like that. And that he heard that things are getting pretty serious. And Ben is like, oh, yeah. He's like, you know, we're doing really good, Andy, the best we've ever been. And, you know, just recently, my grandfather got really sick and to the point where he didn't really know what was going on and stuff. And so Sabrina was like really good with him, you know, because we were staying with him for a little bit. And it was over the holidays. And so I saw the way that she was with him and she got him to like perk up and like say certain things. And so I thought that was really... And so finally we get interrupted because Amanda's ready to come back. Thank God, Amanda. I thought I would never thank you for anything, but thank you. And the producer's like, so you ready? And Amanda's like, and so Amanda comes back to set finally, and Sierra's giving her the evil eye, as she should. Yeah, come sit down, Amanda. Glad you can join us. And Andy says, hi, Amanda. Glad to have you back. How are you feeling? And Amanda's like, I'm breathing. And I just took a bunch more drugs. Just kidding. Not kidding. Allegedly. And then Andy says that because Amanda has rejoined them, he's got to pivot a little bit and he wants to go back to Dara's little speech, which in my opinion, this is the best part of the whole reunion right here. You know what I mean? And hopefully Amanda receives it, but she didn't. So Andy's like, well, you know, Dara a moment ago was telling us about the patterns of West's behavior when it comes to women. And so, of course, I'm just going to let Dara say it because she says it so beautifully and she doesn't leave anything out, almost like a written speech. So here it is.
That you wanted Amanda to hear about what you said? I guess that I would just reiterate to you that the biggest pattern in his life is that it is the West show. And it will always be the West show. And the biggest concern of his consistently is being well-liked and well-received. And he doesn't prioritize treating the women he is linked to romantically with the same respect as he does anybody else in his life. And I just foresee him for a very long time wanting someone who will mold and fold and fit into his life without excuse or complaint. And it's up to you to decide what's worth sacrificing for that kind of person.
Boom! And that's a mic drop, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. And then Andy goes, you know, it would be ironic if you went from the Kyle show to the West show. Yeah, exactly. And Amanda's like, yeah, And Kyle's like, well, the Kyle show wasn't that bad, was it? And Andy's like, yeah, it had its moments, okay? Yeah. And then Andy throws his attention back to the boys and he's like, Jesse, I want to talk more about you. And no pun intended, but it was hard for you to make out this summer. And of course, he's referring to Jesse trying to make out with Sierra and failing miserably. And so, of course, here you go again. Someone from somewhere has asked a question. And the question is to Jesse. It's, when in one of your confessionals, you kind of hinted at the fact that you do have real feelings for Sierra. But when confronted by Sierra, you kind of hid behind your feelings. And so what are your true feelings for Sierra? And Jesse's like, yeah, so, like, I think I caught feelings, you know? But, like, I never wanted to go about it like it was a joke. You know what I mean? I think I just might have misread the situation. And so, like, I wanted to make out with her, but, like, I didn't consider it a joke. But, like, it was kind of like a joke. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I wish I would have handled it differently, you know? And, to me, this is interesting, guys, because, I don't know, drop down in the comments and tell me what you think. Do you think that Jesse would be a good match for Sierra? I mean, he's a bit timid, he's a bit young, but I thought they would kind of be a good match. And so I was kind of upset at this because all he had to do was ask Sierra out on a date. That would have handled that right then and there. You know what I mean? He obviously already took the time out to go to West and like ask West for permission and all that shit. It's like he didn't even need to do any of that. All he had to do was just go to her seriously and just say, hey, you want to hang out? You want to go on a date one time or whatever and see if there's any chemistry there or whatever, So that was just dumb. And yeah, I feel like it could have been a missed opportunity, but I guess everything in life happens for a reason. And so we'll see, maybe in the future, maybe in future seasons. I don't know. To me, it looks like the door might still be open, but Jesse's maturity level needs to come up a bit. And so then Andy says, so that song that you wrote about being in love with your best friend, was that written about Sierra? And Jesse's like, no, he says with a smirk. And then Andy's like, okay, so then did you write it about West and Amanda? And Jesse's like, no, I wrote it a long time ago, And Sierra's like, well, hey, it's perfect. You can play it at their wedding. Oh, snap. And Amanda just rolls her eyes. She's like, okay, Sierra, like, whatever. And then Andy kind of switches it up a little bit. And he's like, Sierra, I wanted to ask you, now that you've watched the season back, do you understand now why Jesse, like, wanted to make out with you? And Sierra's like, yeah, oh, yeah. Definitely. And, the whole bed bugging thing did not help, right? That didn't help the situation. And Jesse's like, yeah, man, that kind of got us into trouble, I was just trying not to get a boner. And he means that quite literally. Yeah, we remember the time that you guys were laying in bed and he was trying not to get a boner. And Mia's like, yeah, please don't. And then Andy's like, well, Amanda, you've gotten a lot of slack for your flirtiness with people. And so what did you think of Sierra and Jesse's flirting? And see, this is where, in my opinion, that Amanda tries to like smooth things over by basically saying that they're all weirdly inappropriate with each other at times and a little bit flirty and whatnot. And maybe for the viewers or people watching that could be too much for them or too touchy-feely. And nobody says anything, and everybody keeps quiet because it's awkward. Because, yeah, I mean, obviously, I think as adults, we all know what's appropriate and what isn't appropriate. And you were married and still are at the time, you know what I mean? Whereas everyone else was single. And then Andy says, so Jesse, what's your relationship status? Are you single? Are you looking for something serious? And what's going on? And Jesse's like, yeah, I'm single, but I'm definitely looking for something serious. Yeah, for sure. And then Andy kind of asked the whole cast, he's like, is that what we're feeling from Jesse? Is he moving like that as someone who's looking for something serious? And Carl kind of jumps in and helps him out, helps his brother out there. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, he is. I've been watching him and I've been hanging out with him and he's been on the road. He's been on tour with his music and, that can get a little lonely. And so it seems to me like he's definitely looking and ready to settle down. And so then Andy says, well, what's going on with your music career? What's up with that? What's the status? And Jesse's like, yeah, it's going good, man. Yeah. Oh my God, he looks like shit. He looks like he's been crying for hours, doesn't he? So anyway, so he says that he's going on tour the day after tomorrow, which this reunion was filmed in April. So his tour is on right now, I guess. Has anybody seen it? Have you gone to see any of the shows? And so here's his tour right here. His Happy to Be Here tour. Well, I mean, look, he's a cancer survivor, so I'm gathering that's why for the name. But anyway, oh, look, he's going to be in New York on July 23rd. Wow, look at that. Yeah, I'm not going to pay to go see him, though. I'm sorry. I mean, if it was free and I just happen to be in the neighborhood, the old stomping ground, sure, why not? I'll come support you. I'll be a cheerleader. I'll be in the background sipping a cocktail, cheering you on. But I'm not going to pay whatever price the tickets are to go see you. You know what I mean? I mean, I think he's all right. He's not great. He's an okay singer. I wouldn't say he's bad. I wouldn't say he's great. You know what I'm saying? I think he started off like an opera or something like that. Anyway, I'm not coming. Sorry, Jesse. And then Andy's like, wow, you're really emotional. Is it because of all the support that you've gotten from your fellow peers and your castmates? And Jesse's like, yeah, it's just been like a really long road, Andy, And like, I started out at the Frost School of Music. You know what I mean? Yeah, the University of Miami. Yeah, and so I've been singing for like a really, really long time. And now I have like this song out. It's called Guess I'll Start, like being me, And so, yeah, it's just been overwhelming. Yeah. And then Andy says to Kyle, he's like, so you went to one of his shows, didn't you? And how was that? And Kyle's like, yeah, dude, he was totally amazing. It was like his first major show and it was in Brooklyn. And like we all went to see it. And dude, yeah, he was like freaking incredible. And so here's Jesse in Brooklyn for his first big show. And there's Amanda and Kyle coming to support him. And yeah, if you blink, you might miss him. But there he is on stage. I'm just kidding. And there's Bailey. And that might be Levi in the hat that we can't see. Poor Levi, man, huh? R.I.P. to Levi. Sorry, girl. Maybe next time or another show. And so Jesse's like, yeah, everybody was very supportive, Andy. And, it's finally starting to take off a little bit. And so I thank everybody for coming. And I really appreciate it. And now moving on, Andy brings up Lindsay and Carl. And he says that finally they've gotten to a place of comfortability where they can be around each other and it's not like this icy coldness. And then he's like, says something clever like, and speaking of icy coldness, at the après ski party, things finally thawed out between Carl and Lindsay. And he's talking about, of course, the famous conversation that they finally had in the igloo. And so Andy's like, well, how's the summer of Carl? Did you feel in the mix this summer? And Carl's like, yeah, man, I was in the mix. I was totally in the mix, And yeah, I made some new connections this summer. I made some new friendships and some other friendships shifted, a.k.a. Kyle and Amanda. And yeah, and so I'm finally able to be comfortable in my own skin, Andy. And so Andy's like, yeah, that's great. And so you opened Soft Bar, right? And that's been going pretty well, I hear. It's been open 7 months, right? And so how's business? How are things going? And so once again, here's Soft Bar, beautiful shot. And, it's a nice layout. It's not too bad, but I already told you how I feel about this one, guys. You know what I'm saying? And look, Lindsay agrees with me. She's trying not to laugh, you know what I mean? Because she is proud of him, but she knows what I know. And that is, this is a failing business, okay? Just call it a juice bar, okay? It's not a bar. People aren't going to get buzzed. They're not going to get drunk. There's no TVs. They're just going to sit around and look at each other while they're drinking orange juice, okay? That's not going to work. And then, of course, the rent is high, I'm sure. So you got to charge a lot for the cocktails, and they have no alcohol in it. So why is somebody going to pay that much for a cocktail that has no alcohol in it? And then you're saying that it has supposed to have nutritious benefits or whatever. And yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can charge for a turmeric shot, okay? So you already know how I feel about this. And to top it all off, it's in Brooklyn. Wrong. Try again. Sorry, Carl. And unfortunately for Carl, it seems like that's what's happening because he says that, yeah, business is good, but Andy, with any business, it takes a little while to get up and running. And so I'm just telling my investors to hang on, AKA Jesse. Sorry, Jesse. And then Andy says, when Lindsay showed up, that was pretty incredible, And so what was that like for you? And did you feel like you had something to prove to her? And so Carl says, yeah, Lindsay walking through the door that day meant the world to me, and she's always been a champion of me behind the scenes and, her pushing me to basically do something with my life, and get out there is really the real reason that made me finally go through with it and do it. And then Lindsay starts like tearing up a little bit and she's smiling. And then Andy kind of asks about the teddy bear and she brought the gift and is it still in the bar? And Carl just says, yeah, it's in his office now or something like that. And then he just continues on and he just says that, he's always going to care about Lindsay and, he's just glad that they're at a good place now and that he basically just thanks her for giving him that push and that drive. And that her showing up basically is a true testament to her character, or something like that. And then Andy says, so Lindsay, would you say that you're proud of Carl? And then Lindsay says, Andy, watching the season back, because it's my life, I live it. And so I don't always get to see like what happens behind the scenes or like in the confessionals or the weekends that I'm not there. So I watch it back. I kind of feel like a viewer, just like you guys. And so watching the season and really, knowing Carl for as long as I have and seeing him really come into his own and seeing him become the person that I knew he always wanted to be. Yeah, and so it's just really beautiful to watch. And Andy's like, oh, that's so sweet. And Carl's like, yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thanks, Lindsay. And then Andy asks Lindsay about her dating life, and how's that been going? And that will we get a chance to see that in the show In the City? Yeah, nice plug there, Andy. And Lindsay's like, terrible. Yeah, it's not going great. And yeah, you will get to see it on In the City for sure. And Andy's like, great, yeah, can't wait to see it. And then he's like, and then that brings me to the commercial about Carl is a mess. And how did you end up in Carl's apartment to shoot that commercial? And what Andy is referring to is this commercial, apparently, of like Carl being a mess over Amanda and Kyle's breakup or something. And so it was like a commercial or a podcast or an ad or something like that. And so Lindsay got involved, and they did it together, I guess, at his apartment. And Lindsay's like, well, it happened very quickly after Kyle's very long man on the street interview. And just in case you missed it, here's Kyle doing his long man on the street interview on social media. And this was April 1st, just a few days after Amanda and Wes came out with their statement. And he's like, yeah, dude, it's just a lot. Okay, it's like, it's not just that it affects me and Amanda and West and Sierra. It affects our whole friend group, okay? And like, dude, even Carl's a mess, okay? And that was outside Carl's apartment. And so Lindsay says that she ended up at Carl's apartment because she just wanted to make light out of a very dark situation. And then Andy says, okay, so this question is for Kyle, Amanda, West, and Sierra. How do you feel about Carl and Lindsay monetizing off of your situation? And then Amanda chimes in right away and she's like, yeah, I would have never done that to Lindsay and Carl when they were going through their breakup. And so, yeah, it did hurt me a little bit. And Lindsay's like, what? What the fuck? She's like, well, I can't help what Kyle says when he's out there on the streets. And Sierra just rolls her eyes and she's like, okay, so let me get this straight. You're upset because Lindsay and Carl monetized off your situation, but yet you'll fuck your friend's ex. Okay, your bar is just like totally uneven, honey. And Lindsay's like, yeah, exactly. And Amanda's like, okay, fine, whatever. And give it to her one more time, Lindsay.
Also, we've been here for 10 years. I'm sorry. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Carl, what
I've been
was-
here for just as long, but okay. Well, I'm not fucking my friend's ex.
Dope. Gotcha. Yeah. And then Lindsay's like, well, let me tell you something else, too. Okay, I was in touch with Sierra and Kyle like every single day, okay? So I was heavily involved and I was like right there. And I just wanted to make sure that they were okay? Meaning Kyle and Sierra. She was like, as long as they were okay with it, then I was fine. And Andy was like, well, what about you, Carl? Like, what did you think about it? And what was it like being back on the couch with Lindsay? And so Carl says that in the back of his mind, he knew he didn't want to hurt or disrespect Sierra and Kyle after everything they've been through. So he kept in touch with them to make sure it was cool. And that being back on the couch with Lindsay was amazing because they have great chemistry together as friends and that he had a good time. Yeah, I bet you did, Carl. I don't know. You guys drop down in the comments and tell me, do you still think that Carl might still have feelings for Lindsay? What do you think? Let me know. I don't know. I think he might. He might. I could be wrong, though. And then Andy switches gears and he's like, Carl was more than happy to invest in Loverboy back in the day. But this season, he failed to see the return on his investment with Kyle. And that led to an explosive fight on the night of Lindsay's annual freedom dinner. And before Andy can get another word out, Kyle interrupts and he's like, okay, dude, I just want to say, hold on, okay? Like, when I was watching the season back, like, it really, really hurt me, like, how upset Carl was about, the whole investment thing. And so I just want to apologize and, like, dude, I'm really, really sorry, bro, okay? And I was just in a super bad place, and so I'm really, really, really sorry, Carl, okay? And, like, I'm sorry that I couldn't be the friend that you needed in that moment, okay? My life was just falling apart. And Andy's like, and speaking of falling apart, you stated several times throughout the season that you felt like you were drowning in your marriage and also in your company, right? And Kyle's like, yeah. And then Sierra chimes in and she's like, Andy, I told Kyle this morning that, like, I felt really bad that, like, I misunderstood him, is what I feel like, because I was so involved in my friendship with Amanda. And that I just didn't really give Kyle a fair chance and really, like, listen to him and hear him out. And, of course, Amanda's like, whatever. And then Andy says, so, Amanda, how do you feel about Kyle and Carl's fight? And Amanda's like, I see it all the time, Andy, okay? He talks to me that way, all right? And so, of course, I hate to see it. And then Andy says, so West, at that dinner when Kyle was getting heated, and especially with Amanda, you physically moved your chair from one end all the way to the other, right next to Amanda. What was up with that? Yeah, West, I want to know too. And of course, he's referring to this scene right here at the dinner when he pulls the chair over next to Amanda. And of course, we all remember that because he's stood up for her way more than he's sticking up for her at this reunion. I can definitely tell you that. And now Wes is kind of put on the spot and he's like, yeah,
Wanted Amanda to know I had her back when, like, I thought Kyle was being a dickhead.
dope. Once again, blink, 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 blink of the eyes. Yeah, but you know what? I do have to agree with West, you know what I mean? Because obviously Kyle was a dickhead in that moment to Amanda and to Carl. And Kyle's like, yeah, I know. Like, I understand it was wrong, okay? I know that I spoke to her wrong, and I know that I shouldn't have said fuck you, and I know that I was, like, really upset with Carl, and, like, I'm sorry, you know, and I know I shouldn't have handled it that way, all right? And then Andy's like, well, we got a question for Amanda from somebody from somewhere. And they wanted to know how it felt when Wes stood up for you. Because in the past, when Kyle was nasty to you, all the other guys in the house would give him a pass. And Amanda's like, well, yeah, of course. Like, you know, it was finally nice to have somebody finally stand up for me, you know, and stand up to Kyle, you know, and I just feel like our friendship, like, goes beyond castmates and, like, he really actually, like, cared about me. Well, of course, Amanda. I mean, clearly it went beyond castmates. And then Kyle's like, yeah, okay, like, I'm like a dude who's never been in a relationship in his entire adult life. Dude, I don't have to be in a relationship to understand that saying fuck you to your wife is bad. Yeah, Kyle. And he also had to tell you to, like, apologize to me. And then Andy brings up the Cartier watch that Kyle gifted Amanda. And we all remember that, don't we? Yeah, she was like, oh my God, I love it so much. Yeah, that watch. And then Andy asks Wes, he said, you know, we got a lot of comments about this watch and about how you're referenced to the Wolf of Wall Street. And then here's Wes, remember when he was cheering Kyle on? He's like, yeah, Kyle, yeah, Kyle, all right, Kyle. And so then Andy says that basically all the comments are saying is the reason why he made the reference to the Wolf of Wall Street because Kyle's gift to Amanda was out of guilt. And West is like, yeah, okay, like I was fired up, all right? Like, because he had just given her that gift, and then the next day he called her a dumbass bitch, okay? And so, yeah, I was just a little fired up, you know? And, like, it was a stupid comment. I shouldn't have made it, and yeah. And Kyle's like, yeah, dude, you know, that was like the highlight of my summer, okay, giving her that watch. And, like, I don't care if we were going to be together or not. Like, that was that was a really big gift from me to her, okay? And you kind of, like, took that away from me, man. And look at Amanda. I bet you she's thinking, yeah, you know what, Kyle? I tried to, like, appraise that watch and maybe get it pawned, and it was only worth $5,000. Yeah. So thanks, no thanks. And we all know that a good Cartier watch is anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 and up, right? But I will take a red box any day, right? Or a blue box. And for you, those of you who didn't know, now you know. The blue box is Tiffany, the red box is Cartier, and I will take both or either. Thanks. And then West is like, yeah, dude, you know, all right, like, I'm sorry, but, like, I really did think that was an amazing gift, and I was excited for you, you know, that's why I was, like, yelling and screaming and everything. But I just thought it was odd that, like, immediately after you called her a dumbass bitch. And so, yeah, I just thought it was a bit strange. I don't know, a little bit sketchy, you know? So sorry, the reference had nothing to do with you. And Kyle's like, or maybe you were just trying to, like, make me look bad, dude, okay? Because you were already fucking my wife. Yeah. And West is like, dude, how am I making you look bad when you're the one calling your wife a dumbass B? You know? And, like, I know I took the reference too far, but, like, let's not make this about, like, the confessional. Huh? What? The confessional. Notice how he didn't even mention or respond to the whole fucking of his wife part. Yeah, he must have left that out. And then Andy's like, so Kyle, watching the show back, were you surprised that people weren't more critical of your treatment of Amanda? And this is where, like, Kyle fumbles his words a little bit. And he's like, yeah, well, you see, nobody had all the information. You see, look, I said fuck you to her, right? I was kind of, like, mumbling it under my breath. And that's because I felt like in that moment she was saying fuck you to me. You know what I'm saying? And so... And Andy interrupts. He's like, you can't defend it. Exactly. And Amanda's like, Kyle, that's not the first time or the last time that you've spoke to me that way. And Wes is like, yeah, dude, she was crying. I mean... And I will say that this is the first time that I'm actually seeing West stick up for Amanda and actually say something because he's been mute the entire reunion. You know what I mean? And it's in defense of the way that Kyle was speaking to Amanda. And so I don't want to give any points to West here, but I just wanted to point that out. And so Kyle starts saying, when we're at home, it's like not a one-way street, all right? It's a two-way street. And like I yell at her, she yells at me, I curse at her, she curses at me. Okay, but like Andy, it wasn't like a fight. You know what I mean? I just wanted someone other than Sierra to go tell him to apologize to his wife. Like it wasn't a thing. And then Andy says to Kyle, he said, well, what was different about this summer with Amanda than the previous 9 years? And then Kyle's like, all right, Andy, let me think about this for a minute. Yeah, see, it all started in the beginning of the summer, like me and Amanda just weren't in a good place, and so at that first dinner, that first night, when she was saying, music is everything to me, right, Andy? My DJing is like my life. And so when she was saying that, like, I just became a DJ to spite her because when she started her like swim career or like her swim line or whatever it was, that like I wasn't supportive or whatever. So yeah, to me, that was like the start of it all. And it also like set the tone for the summer. You know what I mean? And Amanda's like, no, Kyle, what set the tone for the summer was when you slept over at a fan's house overnight. And then Andy says, okay, so then when Kyle slept over at a fan's house, was that like the turning point for you? And then Amanda's like, well, yeah, Andy. I mean, I couldn't believe that like we're back in this place where like he's sleeping over at random fans' houses, and house parties and, passing out on the couch or whatever. At least that's what he told me. And then Kyle interrupts and he's like, hey, Amanda, dude, Amanda, okay? Like all those times that I went out or like I went out on like a bender or whatever, you were supposed to be with me, dude, okay? Like we were supposed to be having fun and getting wasted and passing out together, man. You know what I'm saying? And so it was just always like that. It should have been fun, man. Summer should be fun, man. And then she says, like, she doesn't want to go out, right? And so, like, she wants to move to the suburbs and she wants to have, like, kids and get married and all this kind of shit, right? Oh, yeah, we're already married. But anyway, she wants to move to the suburbs and have kids. And then I see her out, like, partying everywhere. Like, I don't understand it. And see, this is the part where fuck you, Kyle, okay? Because now you're going to make me defend Amanda. All right, because I agree with her, throughout the entire marriage, all Kyle's wanted to do is party, right? And get drunk. And he's wanted Amanda to share in that, which she did from time to time, right? But at some point, she wanted to get married, settle down, and have kids, and move to the suburbs. And so they got married, but they never moved to the suburbs. No. And Kyle continued to go out and party and like flirt with fans, right? And then worst, he comes home and tells her that he wants to become a DJ instead of moving to the suburbs and having kids, which will allow him to continue to go out and party and get drunk and flirt with more fans. And then Lindsay chimes in and she basically is saying what Kyle is trying to say is that all the things that you pointed out about Kyle, about his drinking, about his going out and all of that, West is the exact same. And so it doesn't really make sense. And then Andy says, yeah, I was going to get at that same thing. I mean, Amanda, okay, see, don't you worry that, like, you're going to be entering into the same type of relationship? I mean, Wes is kind of like a good time Charlie. And Kyle's like, yeah, dude, the hypocrisy is just, like, super ironic, And then Amanda's like, well, it's not that I didn't really like going out. It's just that every night Kyle would go out and when he would come home, he would be blacked out. So basically what Amanda's trying to say is that Kyle can't handle his liquor and West can. And then Sierra's like, yeah, but I thought you hated going out. I don't understand. I would call you like to ask you if you wanted to go out and you would say no. But yet you would go out with West? Like, huh? And Amanda's like, yeah, you know what? I just didn't like going out with Kyle, okay? And Kyle's like, oh my God, no. Because you know that's the kiss of death for Kyle. He thinks he's the ultimate party boy. So if nobody wants to go out with him, oh God. And Andy's like, dope. oh no.
Kyle, what's going on?
No, I said I hated going out with him because he would get so drunk and we'd get in fights.
Give me a break. This kid parties twice as hard as
Okay,
I
well,
do.
that's not what I've
And I say kid
experienced
because you
with
are the
him.
most immature,
Okay.
fraudulent phony I've ever met. So
Kyle.
shut the fuck up.
Pause. Who was Kyle saying fuck you to? Was it West or Amanda? Or both? I look at Amanda. She's just like, oh my God, I've heard him say fuck you like a million times. Okay? And then Kyle's like, dude, I thought I knew you, man. Okay? Like, and now everybody, I've heard from so many people have come to me and told me that that guy is not who he says he is. And then here's dumbass shithead West. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, in what way? And then Kyle's like, and by the way, okay, like, just for the record, I know there was a lot of people saying that, like, me and Amanda, like, only stayed together for the cameras or whatever, and we broke up, like, a long time ago. That is so not true, okay? We were together until the day we put our statement out, all right? And here's the statement. And I'll just read it. This was January 19, 2026. And please bear with me, guys, because I'm losing my voice just a little bit. So, thanks. Okay, so it reads, after much reflection, we have mutually and amicably decided to part ways as a couple. We share this with a heavy heart and kindly ask for your grace and support while we focus on our personal growth and healing. It feels ironic to ask for privacy during this time since we've always tried to be open and honest about our relationship. But your kindness and respect will go a long way as we try to navigate our next chapter. Amanda and Kyle. And then Kyle talks about how the plan is that they were supposed to separate and then they were supposed to like redate each other or something like that and then see if they could get back together or something. So in Kyle's mind, they were still together until they wrote the statement. And when they wrote the statement, he gave the statement to his mom, who's an English teacher, and she said, yeah, Kyle, this looks like the end. And I'm sorry, but it doesn't take an English teacher or a mom that's an English teacher to tell you that it was the end, okay? Oh, and by the way, if your mom is really an English teacher, then she should know that ChatGPT is the one that wrote that statement, not her son Kyle. Just saying. And Amanda's like, no, that's not true, Kyle. And you know that. You know that for me, it was over New Year's Day. And you know why, okay? And Andy's like, what? What happened? What happened on New Year's Day? And Amanda's like, yeah, I'm going to tell you. So New Year's Eve, Kyle and I were bickering. So I stayed home and spent New Year's Eve by myself. And Kyle went out and like DJ'd at some like little restaurant or whatever. And then the next morning, I find out that he's in a hotel in Hoboken. Mind you, they live in Manhattan. And look at Andy. He's like, oh, shit. Yeah. And so the next day, I wanted to contact Bravo. So I waited till everybody got back in the office. And I contacted them and I said, listen, I want to put out a statement before the season starts filming. Because I don't want anybody to start watching this and think that we're still together. Bam. Well, damn. I mean, that's interesting. So if she told Bravo Production before they started filming that she wanted to put out a statement saying that she didn't want to be with Kyle anymore, then does that mean that Andy knew about this? Or maybe possibly Kyle or others? Huh. And look at Kyle. Now he's speechless. And so Andy asked an interesting question. He said, does anybody here in this group, has anyone ever heard rumors or anything about Kyle hooking up with other women or anything during this show or in the city? And then Lindsay is the first to respond. She says, what do you mean? Like before they were married or after they're married or during while they're married. And then she's like, well, obviously before, but, and then Carl butts immediately in. And he's like, listen, man, okay, like I've been hanging out with Kyle for a really, really long time, right? And when we were in Loverboy together, you know, we obviously spent a lot more time together. And we'd go out, and yeah, sure, he would drink and, you know, he'd get drunk or whatever. But as far as I saw, he never like cheated on Amanda or anything. And Amanda's like, oh, please, there's been so many rumors and so many DMs over the years, you know, of Kyle being inappropriate. So that's bullshit. And I happen to agree. Sorry, once again, I have to agree with Amanda in this situation. And this is where Kyle and Sierra kind of tag team a little bit. And Kyle's like, that is bullshit, okay? It's because you don't go out with me, and that's why, all right? And then Sierra's like, there's rumors about Wes like every single day. What are you talking about? And then Amanda's like, no, Sierra, okay? Because Kyle and I were still married at the time, and West was a single man, okay? And, okay, Amanda. See, now I'm back to disagreeing with you, all right? Because, yeah, you were married to Kyle and still are. But you were sleeping with West. I'm sure of it, okay? So he wasn't single, or he was, or he wasn't. And who the fuck are you to talk about fucking single and who isn't? And then Andy asked the very important question that we already know the answer to. And that is that since Kyle has been married to Amanda, has he been faithful? And then Amanda says immediately no. And then here's what Kyle has to say.
There has been times when I've been out and I've been inappropriate. I will own it. Did I ever have an affair? No. Did I ever sleep with someone? No. Like, have I been like completely starved and deprived of anything and everything from me? Yeah, and I've acted out. What's your understanding of this? He has stepped out of the marriage while we were together.
Dope. Yeah. And see, Kyle's saying he was inappropriate, and Amanda's saying he cheated. And both is true. Both is true. And Lindsay's like, you know, there's a lot of blurred lines around here. Well, clearly, just like the song. And then Kyle says, he's like, dude, okay, yeah, it's no secret. I was in a really unhappy marriage, all right? And my needs weren't getting met for like a really long time, okay? And Andy's like, well, what's a really long time, Kyle? How long was it? And Kyle's like, the whole fucking time. My entire marriage, Andy, okay? And look at the smirk on Wes's face. He's like, yeah, that's because I've been sleeping with her the whole time. And then Andy's like, well, then, Kyle, what about Sally? Is that a thing? Are you guys going out or something? And who Andy is referring to is Sally Carson from the show called Southern Charmed, which I'm sure you've all seen, and I used to watch religiously in the past. But I don't know, lately I kind of stopped watching, I'll be honest. It was getting a little stale for me, you know what I'm saying? And it was just the inauthenticity of it all, you know? So by the time that Sally came on the show, it was just kind of like, I feel like she was just trying to hook up with one of the guys to solidify her place on the show. You get me? And so this little thing or this little hookup with Kyle, I feel it was just for publicity, you know? I mean, she's a very pretty girl. So, I mean, sure, why not, right? And then Lindsay jumps in again and she's like, yeah, Kyle, you know, you made out with Sally the night of the Summer House premiere. Don't lie. Well, okay, well, there you go right there. I mean, if he made out with her the night of the premiere, this means the show hadn't even aired yet. Oh, Lord. And look at Amanda. She's like, yeah. See, Kyle, you're a liar. Yeah, well, you know what, Amanda? You're a liar, too. That's right. And then Sierra says, she says, and you know what, Amanda? I called you the night that he was making out with her that night. I called you right away to let you know. And Amanda's like, yeah, I know, Sierra. Okay, I know you called me. Thanks. And Sierra's like, I'm only telling you this to point out that once again, I was a good friend to you. That's all. And Amanda's like, okay, Sierra, whatever, okay. And then Andy's like, And then what about the Meghan King situation? And Kyle's laughing. I mean, Kyle just made the rounds. You know what I'm saying? Because Meghan King is one of the housewives, if you don't know, from Real Housewives of Orange County. She used to be on the show a little while ago. And she's much taller than Kyle. And so Lindsay had made a joke about how he had to get on his tippy toes to kiss her. But once again, this was just kind of like a PR stunt. And it's called Kyle Was Drunk and He Saw Meghan. That's what that was. And here's Kyle trying to explain. He's like, listen, man, like I didn't really know who she was, like I just realized we were both in the Bravo universe, and so we tried to like go across the street and like be discreet. But yeah, it was just a little kiss. It wasn't really anything. And by the way, I was not on my tippy toes, okay? She's not taller than me, man, all right? That was just like the angle of like the shot, you know what I'm saying? And then Andy asks a question to Kyle and Amanda. He says, would your relationship have survived as long as it did if it wasn't for the show? And was Summer House a way for you guys to communicate with one another? And Kyle's like, yeah, because like we don't talk to each other when we're at home. And so like this show like forces us to talk to each other, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, in a weird way, I think it was good for our relationship. And yeah, it was just like very therapeutic, you know what I mean? And clearly not, Kyle, okay? It wasn't good for your relationship. And let me just say that any reality television show is not good for a relationship, you know what I mean? But from a communication standpoint, maybe. Because if you're not talking at home or in private where you should be, then yeah, why not do it in front of the whole damn world? Okay? And let the court of public opinion decide, all right? And then you can just go with the most popular opinion, which is that Kyle's a cheater and so is Amanda, and this was never going to work out. Yeah, the end. Sorry. But Amanda doesn't say anything. She just sits there with her head down because she wrote the story. She knows. And Andy doesn't follow up. He doesn't ask her, like, well, what about you? What do you think? And instead, he's like, that's it, guys. We're going to break for lunch. Okay. And so now they actually have a real break and they're going for lunch. And so they all go back to their dressing rooms. And back in West and Amanda's room, Amanda starts talking to West and she's like covering her face with the blanket. It's like, bitch, we can hear you. It's like, what did you think? Because you're covering your face, we can't see your lips moving, that we can't hear you? I mean, you're mic'd up. Anyway, so she starts talking to West and she's really pissed off and she's like, you know what really fucking pisses me off? You know what I mean? I can't stand the fact that they keep saying that I'm married. But she's married. She's married. She's married. Well, you are. And they're like as if they don't know how miserable I was in that relationship, okay? They all stood by and they watched how he treated me. They saw how he spoke to me, and he didn't just speak to me like that on camera. It was also off camera, okay? And so I'm just really sick of this. Meanwhile, he's going around town making out with different people and like housewives and shit. Meanwhile, look at West. He's like, bitch, I don't give a shit, okay? It's like, you're going to sit here and talk about your relationship with Kyle? It's like, I've already heard it for fucking 7 years now already. And then Amanda's like, and also, like, I hate them for, like, making me feel like I can't trust you or something. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Yeah, it's just so annoying. And then Wes is, like, looking at the wall. He's like, is that paint or is that wallpaper? Or is it stone? Meanwhile, Sierra's in her dressing room, and she makes a phone call to Mija, Wes's ex-girlfriend, or so she thought. And she's like, oh my God, girl, you look so beautiful. Oh my God. So like, what's going on? Give me the tea. Like, how do you feel? And Sierra's like, well, I'm just trying to hold it together, girl. Okay. Like, I got it all out. I cried before I got on stage, but of course, as soon as I got on stage and I seen West and Amanda, I got mad again, And, but you know what? I'm just going to give you the recap, okay? They don't even look like they like each other, all right? And Mija is like, well, that's probably because they don't. And Sierra's like, yeah, like she's taking the brunt of it. And he's not even like coming to like rescue her or save her or anything or even defend her. You know, he's just like chiming in every once in a while and like saying a little something here and there, you know, but I'm not surprised. I mean, that's what we predicted, right? And perfect timing because back in West and Amanda's room, West is like, hey, Amanda, dude, do you want me to like chime in more? Do you want me to like help out more? What do you want? You know, like, and Amanda's like, no, that's okay. Because like, I think that's just gonna like piss people off. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, just gonna try and attempt to speak for myself if they even allow me to do that, which they're not. And then Wes says, he's like, I know Sierra like really gets under your skin like really fast, man. And Amanda's like, yeah, you think? And Wes says, yeah. Okay, dude. I think you should just like keep your cool and keep your composure and just like deliver it like really simple. You know what I mean? Just like Zen like. And then Amanda's like, oh my God, yeah, Zen, of course, totally. But you know, I think it's just like I just get triggered. You know what I mean? No. You get triggered. You get triggered. Okay. Well, if I was a viewer, like an outsider looking in, which I am, I would say that Sierra might be the one to get triggered. Yeah. You know, by this whole situation. And you know what triggers me? That fucking bun on your head. Okay. I mean, let's not pretend that this is a moment or a style or a creativity or a fashion thing. It is none of that. Okay. This is what girls do when we are doing the laundry, all right? That's how we wear our hair when we're doing the laundry, when we're cleaning up, going to the store in the summertime to get a soda, or maybe even like hungover, eating breakfast by the pool at the summer house, some shit like that, okay? And you know what's also triggering? Every woman probably across America is your fucking eating disorder, okay? I mean, you're pushing the food around the plate there, all right? And yep, there you go. She hasn't even touched anything. What did she take, like one bite? I mean, and I'm not poking fun at having an eating disorder, but she's never declared to have one, is the thing. I mean, she has talked about mental health issues and depression and things like that. And she's been in therapy. And she's probably on medication, but in this moment, I don't think she's taking it responsibly, you know, because I'm sure she's on Xanax or Valium or whatever, you know. And I'm sorry, but in this moment, you have to take accountability, okay? You have to go through it and you have to feel all the feelings, all right? Because it's not fair to Sierra or Kyle or the viewers or the cast or Andy, because everyone else has shown up and they're feeling things that they definitely don't want to feel. And so you have to feel feelings that you don't want to feel. All right. And so in this moment, you cannot use that as a cop out. Okay. Sorry. And I'm sorry to all the people that have mental health issues, me being one of them. Okay. And then Amanda retreats back under the covers and she's like, I know I can do better. Yeah, no shit. And then back in Sierra's room, she's still on the phone with Mia, and then Kyle comes in. And he's like, hey, Mia. Hey, dude. Like, can I ask you a question? You know, is that all right? Yeah. So, like, when would you say that you guys were exclusive? And then Mia tells him that they were dating the entire summer while they were filming and that he referred to her as his girlfriend all the time and that they just weren't public about their relationship and that she was at his apartment all the time while he was at Summer House filming and that, you know, she was obviously with him the night before he was on Watch What Happens Live and gave him that horse tail tie or whatever the fuck, you know. And so she said that one of the reasons why he didn't want to go public with the relationship was that he feared that he would get fired from the show if he wasn't involved or in a relationship with someone that wasn't part of the Bravo sphere. Wait, I don't think I said that right. Anyway, you get me. Basically, to say it bluntly, West thought that Mia was a nobody. Okay? And he wanted to keep it that way. And then Kyle's like, yeah, dude, that's like perfect for him, you know, because you're like not in it. And so you don't know like the politics and you don't know what's going on. And so, yeah, it's like perfect, man. You know, it's fucking bullshit. Sorry. And then Mia says that also the reason why he didn't want to go public was because, that would put her in a really bad position, like in the public eye. And then people would be like talking about her and have like negative things to say about her. And that also that would pit her against Sierra, because like they would be fighting or something like that. And then Sierra says that sounds very, very manipulative. Yeah, definitely. And that would be the perfect thing to say to keep her away. Of course. And you know what? They wouldn't have been fighting. No, because they would have been too busy calling West out on his shit. And that's why he wanted to keep her away, obviously. And the fact that he was screwing Amanda. But anyway. And then poor Mia starts crying. And she's like, this is just like really hurtful. It's like, I didn't ask to be thrown into this situation. Okay. And so it's just like, I can't believe that I just mean so little to him that he could just like throw me away like he didn't even know me. And Mia, no offense, but like he's on a very public reality show, okay? And so if he didn't want you to be a part of that, that should have been your clue and your red flag right there, okay? And then Kyle's like, dude, we're like about to go confront him. Okay, so like, can we call you when we're like on set or whatever? No, you can't call her, Kyle, okay? She's not going to be on the show. That was the whole point, all right? And that'll just fuck up Andy's day. And he's tired and he's lazy and he has a son now and he's sick and tired of reunions, okay? Because that would have been a part 5 and a part 6. Oh, and Andy also has a daughter now, too, right? I can't keep track. Anyway, West is like, yeah, it's almost over now, Amanda, so it shouldn't be too much longer now. And Amanda's like, yeah, okay. And Amanda, it's not sleepy time, okay? No, it's called get your ass up time. Go take a line of Coke or something, all right? Because it's accountability time, all right? You need to be accountable for your actions. And you need to be awake, alert, and you need to listen and learn and get your ass handed to you, okay? Because that's what you deserve for doing what you did. Yeah, it's called cause and reaction. And you caused, and now they're reacting. You see how that works? And that is the end of part 2 of their Summer House reunion, season 10. And that is a to be continued. And there's my lovely city that I love and don't miss. But I do still visit from time to time because, for one, my mother still lives there and also some friends. But it's the people. My people. I got to check on my people. You know what I'm saying? Because there ain't no place like home and there's no place like New York. Because everybody's there. Everybody's there. You know what I'm saying? You got white, you got black, you got Asian, you got Spanish, Puerto Rican, Dominicans, the Cubans, Colombians. You got Mexican, Italian, Polish, Jewish, French, German, Irish, and the list goes on and on. Indian, Jamaican, you know what I say? But anyway, the list goes on and on and on. The people are the best. You got gays, you got transsexuals, you got transgendered, you got lesbians. And of course, the drag queens, darling. Yes, the rich, the poor, the middle class. Although the middle class is gone now. So now it's just the rich and the poor. You have everybody there. And the occasional bum who carries a parrot on his shoulder every Wednesday and Friday. Do you understand what I'm saying? No, because you're not from New York. But anyway, that concludes this episode. So thanks for watching the video, guys. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn your notifications on so you'll know when part 3 drops, right? Because there's only one more part to this. The Summer House Reunion Season 10, Part 3 is coming soon, guys, okay? So stay tuned and like the video. Thanks. Bye.